Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. Thematically, I guess we should stick right there with Ohio State. Tom, let's do the Ohio State side first because we were talking about it at halftime. Couldn't really run the ball. It's nice they've got some easy buttons, but what's our level of alarm for the Buckeyes right now?
I'm concerned going forward. Losing Simmons was big. And we talked about it during the week. It's a big injury. You were wondering, you were going to try to wait and see how things went. This offense, they had the 40. I wrote afterwards, I said, the reason coaches recruit as hard as they do and they work so hard on that is because sometimes you just need to have the better players when everything else is going wrong, because it can win you games. And that's kind of what happened here, because there was the 60-yard touchdown to Jeremiah Smith. There was the 40-yard touchdown to Carnell Tate. You take away those two plays, and Ohio State had 185 yards on 45 snaps.
Mm-hmm.
The offense wasn't doing anything for the most part. They had the 75-yard touchdown drive late to kind of cement it and put it away to take the lead back from Nebraska. And that was the only truly good drive I felt like Ohio State had in the entire game. And you mentioned they couldn't run the ball. They averaged 2.1 yards per carry. Will Howard was 13 of 16 for 221 and 3 touchdowns, and they barely won the game. If I give you that stat line beforehand, you probably think they cruised to an easy victory. So, that offensive line, we talked about it before the year, was a question mark. We talked about it during the year. The interior of the line was playing well. The tackles were somewhat iffy, although Simmons was clearly the best one that they had. Now they've lost him. And the backup didn't play horribly. It's not like he was giving up a ton of pressures or sacks or anything. I think that he did okay for his first start in that position. But the offensive line overall is not getting any push. And that's the Nebraska defensive line that is kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Some weeks it's good, some weeks it's bad. Today, maybe it was just a good week. I don't know. But if I'm Ohio State going into Penn State next week, if I was having trouble blocking Nebraska's defensive line today at home, and I'm going to Beaver Stadium next week, and I have to block Penn State's defensive line on the road, I have legitimate concerns about what my offense is going to be able to do.
Especially because, when Mahalski was helped off, he wasn't able to put any weight on that leg, right? I mean, so now it's Simmons and your backup left tackle. Guys, that was a concern entering the season for Ohio State, was tackle depth, as it's a concern for basically every team out there in the country. And now Ohio State is down, 2 of their top 3 tackles.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a problem. If he's seriously injured, that's probably a fatal blow for Ohio State in terms of their biggest goals of the season. Look what Georgia did to Texas, right? Penn State next weekend, that's gonna be really hard. Nobody look at how bad Alabama struggled. Alabama had to reinsert a banged up left tackle against, is it USF?
One of those early games.
Thinking back a month, right? They just really couldn't move the ball, and they had to put the kid back in because the backups just couldn't play. We'll I don't know how they're going to do this, but certainly it's not good. Credit to Nebraska, by the way, for playing almost like a service academy tempo today. I mean, they held the ball for 36 minutes. You gave me Will Howard's stat line, and it was crazy efficient. But Ohio State ran 46 plays. That's insane. I'm certainly concerned about the Buckeyes because personnel matters. Who's on the field, who's in the medical tent, it matters. That's going to be tough.
So I am not ready to file this in the same folder as the Nebraska can't win 1-score games. While I understand that factually it is going to add another loss to the 1-score games.
I'm counting it.
I'm not counting. I'm just saying
you had the lead in the fourth quarter. You'd been stopping their offense all day. And then once you have the lead in the fourth quarter, they put together the longest drive of the day.
Yeah.
I'm counting it.
It didn't feel the same, though. I don't care.
You're letting your expectations for how the game was going to go get in the way because they were 25-point underdogs.
That is, yes, 100%.
They had a chance to win the game, and they didn't know how to finish.
Okay, I guess that is the narrative. I was in my head, I was like, you know what? That'd be unfair. because they gave themselves a chance. So they did. If they did everything they needed to, that's not the same as all of these other one-score losses.
That's been. They've always given themselves a chance. They just never take advantage of it.
How do you think Raiola played?
He looked like a freshman QB. He
Against
made some
Ohio
good
State
plays.
season?
He made some like really what in the hell are you doing plays.
I think some of the play calling suggests that they know maybe he's hitting a bit of a freshman wall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the screen stuff, I think that they're a little afraid to let him just totally go with it, which makes sense. He's a freshman.
And he missed 2 wide open touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true.
Which maybe changed the game just a little bit.
So it's not. So it's not all Bud's favorite offensive coordinator.
No, it's not all Bud's favorite.
Probably doesn't help, but
yeah.